What's going on, guys? This is the Magic Geek here, your one-stop shop for anything Yu-Gi-Oh! Magic, basically just about anything TCG related, and today I am back with another deck profile. This time we're going to be featuring Red Dragon Archfiend. Um, I'd say let's get into it, but just a handful of notes before we start. This is going to be pure Red Dragon Archfiend. I do not own the rest of the Centurion engine that I would like to, and past that, it's more or less a work in progress. This is kind of a sit down for an hour, hour and a half passion project kind of thing. I know it shouldn't have taken me that long, but I had to figure out ratios, and I'm not the greatest deck builder in the world. Alright, without further ado, let's go ahead and get started with our one card starters. We're going to start off with 3 copies of Soul Resonator. We got 2 copies of Bone Archfiend, and we have 3 copies of Earthbound Prisoner Stone Sweeper. Any of these get you to full combo more or less. Bone Archfiend kind of requires like a 1.5 to 2 card combo. Um, but either way, these are what you're mainly wanting to see. Stone Sweeper searches for Soul Resonator or just about any of the other resonators throughout the deck. Speaking of other resonators, I have 2 copies of Vision, 1 copy of Crimson, and 1 copy of Synchron. Crimson is just for a little bit of extension play. Realistically, I'm probably considering cutting it because, spoiler alert, I'm also not playing Red Nova Dragon, Red Supernova, whatever it's called. And then Synchron is just kind of a somewhat decent extender slash it can get you into level 7 and 9 synchros very easily, even though you already can throughout regular engine, but you know, it's basically an extra copy just to be safe. For another extender, I have Wandering King Wildwind as a one of. It basically says if you have a resonator on the field, you can special summon it from your hand. This is an inherent summon. Um, but it also, Wandering King Wildwind also does lock you from the extra deck just into synchros. Bone Archfiend locks you into Dark Dragon synchros, so that's notable to keep an eye on whenever you're playing the deck. For the spells and traps for Red Dragon Archfiend, I'm running 2 copies of Crimson Gaia, 1 copy of Red Zone, 1 copy of Red Rain. Arguably, Rain is better than Zone, but I like playing both just that way I have the flexibility and versatility. And then finally, we're going to go Fiendish Golem and Fiendish Chain. Fiendish Golem goes into Fiendish Chain, basically lets you immediately set it from deck, more or less for free, so to speak. Again, Chain is not required under any circumstances, another super cuttable card. But I like it, so I'm going to be playing it. Y'all take those ratios how you would like. Now, for just a small extra package here, since I'm not running the Centurion, I have a small Bystial package, just because Bystials are great this format. I got Lubellian Magma and Duroswarm. RIP my lads, recently hit to 1 on the ban list, but you know what, we're here. I could just as easily also put in a Baldrake or 2, instead of, like, say, the Lubellion, for example, but I'm just really big fan of how these end up turning out, and Bestial Lubellion helps you get into things like Dispatter, Chaos Angel, same thing with these 2. You can start going into your 8s very easily. So yeah, that was basically the core of the deck. Now we're going on into our non-engine. First of all, a few one-ofs. Once again, recently hit on the ban list. Cross-out Designator. Talent, also one of currently. Pot of Prosperity, been one of for a while. And Called by the Grave. Pot of Prosperity has been sort of iffy to me in a way. I've had to adjust my extra deck ratios accordingly. I haven't found too terribly many issues with it, but it's still one of those things, you know. Talent, super good card. Crossout, we have 15, 12 or 15 non-engine? 12, I believe. Yeah, 12 non-engine in the deck, and everything that we have in our deck, as far as like hand traps and such, can be detrimental against us as well. So seeing the one-off cross-out is great. Same thing with the Called by the Grave. It's Ash, it's the Baylor, all that good stuff. Now I do have currently 3 placeholders here. These are Molcharmi Fuelos. I own them. I just did not want to swap them around. I have 2 Nibiru Primal Being, 2 Ash Blossom, probably should be at 3, but I cut one of each of these 3. This is 2 Effect Veiler. I've cut 1 Nib, Ash, and Veiler, so that way I can play my 3 Fulos, because it's an amazing card right now. And then lastly, I have 3 Infinite Impermanents. I more chose to go for Imperm over Veiler at 3 copies, strictly because Imperm does not trigger talents, does not trigger thrust, does not trigger Kashtira cards, which are absolutely blowouts to this deck. Especially if you're looking at like Kashtira Unicorn, for example, stuff like that. Anyways, guys, that's the main deck. A solid 40 cards. Again, ratios can be adjusted to your liking to add any engine, non-engine, etc., that you would prefer. Now, going on to the extra deck, I've got 2 copies of Red Rising Dragon, more or less your extra deck starter. I'll immediately go to it, summon back a Resonator from the graveyard. And then we have 1 Kuibelt, just in case we end up getting stopped, /for going second on Synchro Summon. Excuse me. Synchro Summon, you target a card on the field and destroy it. Got 2 Scarred, 2 Scarlight. Scarred goes into the original RDA. Scarlight is a great aspect of going second. You can basically nuke the board with it. Scarred is also a board wipe, I believe. Yeah, it's a board wipe for attack position monsters. So that's also super useful in some circumstances. Then we have 2 OG RDA, 2 Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss, 2 Bane, 1 Dispatter, 1 Chaos Angel. A lot of these I am playing at 2 for one reason and one reason only, purely for Pot of Prosperity. As a one-of, I probably shouldn't have to adjust the extra deck as much as I did to accommodate doing so. My biggest plan with Pot of Prosperity here is to mainly do it for 3. If you do it for 6, it's not going to be super, like, it is going to be useful, yes. It's just not going to be as versatile. Your extra deck isn't going to be as versatile, and sometimes, you know, you might need double Red Rising, and so you can't really banish one, etc., etc. All depends on the matchup. Bystial Dispatter, just solid card. Chaos Angel, same thing. Good for going second, good for going first. And yeah, that's more or less the deck, guys. Thank you so much for coming out. If you enjoyed, you can go ahead and leave a like. Subscribe if you would like to. And of course, comment your thoughts, questions, concerns, etc., etc. Maybe we can try and figure out a new build, try and push this forward a little bit longer. But anyway, guys, in the meantime, y'all have a great day, and I will catch you guys on the flip side.